So this weekend, we've been talking about Eli and how nimble he looks on a motorcycle, and especially with the corners, the 90s, and the short rhythm sections, being able to get in and out, quickly is a big key. And there was, I'd say, two parts of the way this track was. You had the 90s, and then you had the 180s. And to me, like what he was doing on the 90s, being able to land, pivot, one turn, and get out of it was quick. But what he was also doing in the 180s, like where you, after the start straight and you would go in the rhythm section, we got some video right here. And if you watch Eli, look where he's at compared to everybody else. First off, he's farther inside than most people. I mean, you have some lappers like going in there inside, but where Eli, compared to, Cooper, Chase, the rest of these guys, he's farther on the inside. Look at his body. Another one. Look just the way how relaxed he is on the body. But his arc, it's one turn on there. He's farther inside, gets in there, hits the brake, slides, don't even really put his foot out. He puts it out towards the end. That's because he kind of hits the rut. Maybe stands him up, little balance thing. But there was no stopping in the middle of that corner. There was no pause at the top. Then you come in and then you watch Cooper. And Cooper does it pretty well on there. He's far inside, but there's still a little pause in the top of that. And then he goes to the next rut over. And you watch Anderson. Anderson's farther on the outside. He's in the rough stuff. So he can't really start making his initial turn to think about those ruts until he gets through those braking bumps on there. So he's getting beat up in there. Then he has a pause at the top. All right, which one of the ruts I'm gonna figure out? I'll fall into the rut, then I go. Then you have Barsha coming in here. Same thing in those bumps on the outside. Big pause in the middle of the corner, and then he goes into the thing. Roxon was one of the better ones, but he goes a little bit lower than everybody else, but still there wasn't a relaxed movement. Then you got Chase. Chase is in there, and he's bottomed out going in there. Pause at the top. Oh, I can't make that rut, so I'm gonna go farther out. And then what you're seeing is Eli, one, he's relaxed on his body movement. He's on the inside, so he's missing all those bumps, which is energy. And he gets in there, hits the brakes. He's not worried. He don't even put his foot out. Turn, one motion. There was no stop in his corner. Where everybody else you saw, they were stopping. There was a pause. And so when you look at lap times and you look at, speed separation around the racetrack, I don't even know if Eli was the fastest person, overall. I'm probably sure he was, but he was obviously the fastest person because he won. And just like Anaheim, how dominant he was and how much time he made up on Chase and those guys after he went down, you would think he'd be a second, 2 seconds, 3 seconds faster than somebody. But in reality, he was like within the same tenth of everybody else. But what I said is how he does it and the way he looks when he does it, just how relaxed he is. And this is another part, just like in the first one, we talked about the whoops and how his body position is, how relaxed. Same thing adds up in these corners. So what this allows Eli to do is be patient around the whole racetrack. So Eli can take his time in those tough sections. He can make sure he hits every single whoop. He can make sure, okay, I'm gonna just square up when I land off this jump. I'm gonna just take a little bit more time than maybe somebody else in this corner. But overall, when it adds up the whole lap, I made up so much time and saved up so much energy in this corner, in this simple one corner, that these guys are wasting energy and wasting time that they got to make that up somewhere else. Usually when they make it up somewhere else, you end up doing something like Malcolm does. You overjump the corner and you got to make that difference up. So it puts you on the outside, then you make a mistake, or you're rushing in, you come in, you get cleaned out. Like all these little things are, I believe, dictated not because Eli is 3 seconds faster than those guys, but because he's figured out a way to make the track as smooth, as short as it possibly can, and at the easiest way he can. And that's why when he rides, it looks like he's taking his time around the whole racetrack. But when you start breaking it down, you just look at this one corner that we recorded right here, and that should tell you enough right there. He's on the farther inside than anybody else. He's the quickest in and out of that corner, and he's on the smoothest line. And like you're just like, well, why wouldn't everybody else do it? Well, I don't know. Maybe they will after they watch this video. But right there, just like last weekend in the whoops, these are the little things that is making this guy as good as he is. And he's able to do it in a way that is not done by speed on there. It's not like he's charging things way harder than everybody else. He's figuring out a way to ride around all the things in the track or be relaxed in positions where this really takes effect after like 12 to 15 minutes to the end of the race. Eli looks the same as he does from the beginning of the race to the end of the race, where you do what Anderson and Chase is doing. Eventually that catches you out on there. Eventually you're not going to be able to stop. You know, you're going to hit those bumps. You're going to start getting tired. Then you're going to go on the inside and brake. But Eli is making those guys figure out they're going to have to watch these videos and change some things up. So
quick question just on something I noticed was Eli, it looks like gives a little blip. I wasn't sure if you saw that too, right there. Is that a little blip or is he just adjusting his hand?
It is a blip, and good eye by catching that. But what he's doing is sometimes, like when you get in that, like if let's over jump something, you come in that corner too hot, you slam on the brakes, the bike can stall on you on there. So a lot of times you get in there and either one or two things happen. Either he's starting to stall out to where when we broke down Chase's crash last year, when he went in there and he got folded up like a lawn chair on there, like he went in and he gassed it. And with Chase, he gassed it and it actually, like he went forward on there, and that's a blip. Like he went in there, he started stalling out. He had to gas it to keep his momentum up, otherwise he was gonna fall over. I think Eli's coming in here and blipping it because the bike would actually stall out on there. And sometimes you get in there, and especially when you're hitting the brakes and you're getting the idle low, you just kind of almost hit it to where the idle just runs up, not necessarily blipping to do anything. And then sometimes you actually come in there and blip it to spin the bike around, you know, pop the clutch to actually help you like turn. But I don't see any roots coming off his bike, so, and he wouldn't be adjusting his arm in that position because there would be a hard spot to, like you wouldn't be able to take it off. You only really kind of do that in the air or something. But he's going in there, I think he's hitting it just to get the idle up so he doesn't stall the motorcycle out to hear it and turn more than anything else. So, but yeah, that was a good eye. Like when you're slamming on the brakes on there, like it's kind of natural. I never really thought about it, but you're also like, you got the clutch in, you're slamming on the brakes, and you're working all three different parts at one time. Like you're gassing it to keep the bike from stalling, because if you come in there and even if you pull on the clutch and you just slam the brakes, you can actually stall the motorcycle, and you never want to get in that free wheel. Like that's another zone that you would think, all right, if you hit the brakes, if you pull on the clutch, just hit the brakes, like you don't have any control of the bike. So you see these guys kind of clutch, brake, and moving their arm just a little bit as they're hitting the brakes, like pulling the clutch in, but not allowing the bike to get in a free motion on there. Like if you went down the street, pulled the clutch in, that motion, you don't want that in corners. That's actually worse than doing anything else. So you use the throttle and brake and clutch at the same time. Even though you're slowing down, you're always working like all three of those things at one time in there, or you use it to spin around. But I think that position where you're seeing Eli is a part of not stalling, and you never pull in the clutch all the way on the motorcycle. So technically you always got to have some kind of throttle, because the clutch is never all the way in. It's always kind of adjusting, and that's why you get guys that burn out clutches much, because they're always working it. Bubba knows this shit, doesn't he? Well, that's what it is. As we see, Eli's doing what he's doing on there, and he's doing it better than everybody else. That's one corner on the whole racetrack that we've filmed. Good job, Cole. If you guys want to see something specific, or you want me to break down something else, make sure you drop a comment, show love. I love the comments and everybody checking out the video. And this is Bubba Knows. So if you want something, just holler. I'll see you. I can do my best. We can record it and break it down for you. Until then, I'll see you next week.